Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Shari Robertson. Welcome to Building Better Readers. I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to share with you evidence-based materials and strategies that you can use in your professional setting. Today we're going to use the book Rosie's Walk as a catalyst to help students build a variety of oral and written language skills. Now, if you don't have Rosie's Walk on your shelf, you will very likely find it in a library, and it's widely available online. However, if all else fails, you can adapt this activity using a book that you do have on your shelf. But the structure of this story is what makes it such a great resource for this activity. Now, because I don't own the copyright to this book, I can't show you it page by page. And that's all right, because in this particular situation, the pictures are not as important as the words. Now, you don't hear me say that very often because I'm a big proponent of building reading comprehension by linking the written words to the pictures and then adults scaffolding that. And this book can do that as well, and I'll give you a little taste of that. But what we're going to do is use the format of the book to target other kinds of skills. And we're going to be looking at things like developing descriptive words, antonyms, synonyms, expanding sentences, learning how sentences work, and actually written language as well. So Rosie's Walk is a very simple format. On the first page it says, Rosie the hen went for a walk. And then these phrases are on each subsequent page. She went across the yard, around the pool, over the haystack, past the mill, through the fence, under the beehive, and got home just in time for dinner. Now, I told you the pictures aren't that important for this particular activity, but I do want you to know that there is a fox in this story that Rosie is completely unaware of. And the fox shows up on every single page, and he's actually right behind her, just about to get Rosie. He's right on her heels, if chickens have heels. But Rosie is completely unaware of it throughout the book because something always happens just in the nick of time that keeps the fox from snatching Rosie. So she gets back in time for dinner without ever realizing that the fox had been on her heels, and something happens to the fox to drive him away for good at the end of the book. So obviously first you're going to read the book aloud, and when you do read it the first time and you have the book with the pictures in front of you, there are a number of strategies that you can use during reading to enhance reading comprehension, and build those critical language and literacy skills, such as using echo reading. This is a great echo reading book where you and the child echoes what you say, and you invite them to do that. So it's my turn, your turn, my turn, your turn. I will demonstrate echo reading in a subsequent video, so if you're interested in that, keep an eye out for that. There's also lots of opportunities for friendly questions and predicting, and also pointing out the prepositions that are in this book. So those things can happen while you're reading the book. What I want to concentrate on today are extension activities, what you can do after you've read this book to continue the fun and the learning at the same time. And this is how we're going to do that. So you can see here's a template that I've created, the Create Your Own Story template. And you'll notice that I've taken out all the nouns. So instead of the nouns in the book, now we just have blank spots. And so now it's up to the child to either write or dictate to an adult, if they're not yet able to write themselves, what they want their story to sound like. So they get to choose the nouns that go in these boxes. It's completely up to them. Now they're becoming an author. So they're not just the receiver of language, of written language, they're now going to be the sender. So here is an example of what this might look like. So instead of Rosie the hen, we've got Rudy the cat who went for a walk, and he went through the cat door, across the grass, down the driveway, over the car, around the tree, under the bridge, and got home just in time for cuddles. So you can see here where we've taken the format of the story. So you've read the story several times, you've talked about it, you might echo read it and you point that out. It's a very simple story with a very structured format. We're going to take that format, use it to our advantage, build this template so now that children can become authors of their own stories. And of course, the next step is, once they've built their story, is to illustrate it. And in this case, you can see we just have little illustrations on this worksheet. So there's a picture of Rudy the cat, and there's a cat door, and there's some grass. You can see the things that are on here to represent the concepts or the new words that have been put into this child's story. That is a great way to build comprehension, first of all by becoming an author and then illustrating your own story. It also addresses a Common Core State standard that has to do with using drawings and other visual displays, so you can check off that box. And you can take it one step farther if you want and have them actually create a whole book. But before you do that, I want you to think about how you could extend this even farther to make sure that the story is as rich as it can be and is exactly what that child the story that child wants to tell. Because here on the next template, you can see I've added an additional box. And in that additional box is where we're going to encourage the child to put in a descriptive word or a tier 2 word. So Rudy isn't just a cat anymore. Rudy is now a black cat, and he goes through the tiny cat door and across the short grass, down the long driveway, over the old car, around the big tree, under the creaky bridge, and got home just in time for warm cuddles. So I'll just mention this here. These templates are going to be available for you, and I'll give you the link at the end of this video. But you can see here that now we have addressed some additional goals. We've addressed adjectives, descriptive words, tier 2 words, vocabulary development. We've also increased mean length of utterance in terms for oral, if we're having them read it back, because we're adding that extra morpheme in. Might be morphemes. There's a couple places where there's two morphemes in the word, like tiny and creaky. But what this also does, and especially you can with older kids, because you can do this with a little bit older kids, it really helps them see how you can expand sentences, how you can make them more complex, where these words would go, where these descriptive words would go into a sentence. And so it really helps them understand both oral and written sentence structure. And of course, we can work on a retelling of the story too. Once they've written it, then they can retell it. So we've got all of these goals. Both could be IEP goals, could be Common Core State Standard goals, or whatever your state standards might be, all using this very simple book and this fairly simple activity. But I'll tell you what, this activity can go on for days and days and days of therapy. You can build on this and just keep expanding it to help children see how writing works and how language works. So let me show you another extension here on this next template. Here now, we're going to encourage the child to, just for fun, try to substitute an antonym or an opposite of the word that they'd originally used for a descriptor. So instead of Rudy the white or the black cat, now Rudy is a white cat. And it's a huge cat door instead of a tiny door. And what was the opposite of short? We got tall grass, right? So that is a way, again, to continue to expand and learn about how language works. Now, in some cases, it's kind of like a Mad Lib. It might not make sense to add an adjective. So for instance, originally Rudy got home just in time for warm cuddles. Now, chilly cuddles or cold cuddles don't really make sense. So in this situation, you really can't add an antonym that I can think of anyway. that would make sense to go with that word. And again, that's just a conversation that you can have, a real conversation about real words about a real task. Now, I want to back up just a minute to the original adjectives. So we have Rudy was a black cat and a tiny cat door. This is a time now when you could also talk about shades of meaning and synonyms. So could you come up with a different word for black that maybe is more descriptive of Rudy? So maybe he's not black, maybe he's inky colored, or or maybe you want to add another adjective. So maybe he is, jet black, so that you can play around with these words. Maybe you don't like the word tiny cat door. Maybe you want to say minuscule or teeny, but you could actually talk about each one of those and generate a list of synonyms to finally pick just the right word that you want for your story. Now, I'm going to talk about word walls in another lesson and how you can use word walls, build word walls to use in these situations. But all of these discussions help children begin to form that cognitive scheme for how words work. So now that you've had a chance to really talk about this story, talk about what exact words you want to use, rich words, rich vocabulary, this is when I would take it out of the template, put it into a book that the child can be both the author and the illustrator, and now they have a book of their own. And here is Rudy's Walk. This activity is easily adaptable to online delivery, as the templates can really be shared on screen as you encourage your students or clients to provide the words that they want to use to fill in the blanks to create their own story. Then you can encourage the child to draw pictures between sessions and then share them with you on your next virtual meeting. What a great way to help motivate them to work between sessions, as they will now have something to show you the next time you meet. These templates are available for a free download. You just go to dynamic-resources.net and click on the free resources link, and you can download these and use those however you would like. Pair them up with your copy of Rosie's Walk. So that's our lesson idea for today. Again, this is Dr. Shari Robertson. Thanks for reading with me.